For over 20 years, Ugandans in the north were victims of one of the most brutal civil wars in the history of Africa. The conflict caused thousands of deaths, the displacement of approximately 1.1 million people in Acholi land, and the abduction of more than 23,000 children. At the height of the war from 2002 to 2005, hundreds of thousands lived in desperate conditions in displacement camps throughout the region. In 2006, a ceasefire was negotiated, but it took another 4 years before the last of the camps were officially closed, and the majority of the internally displaced returned to their villages. During the conflict, UN agencies and the international community delivered much needed humanitarian assistance. But now, the UN, in partnership with the government of Uganda, is working together in another capacity to ensure economic and social recovery through the Peacebuilding Fund.
Yeah, the UN Peacebuilding Fund has three big components to it. There's one which is trying to bring access to justice and human rights to the people of northern Uganda. Another one is really trying to deal with the social consequences of the conflict, such as gender-based violence. And the third one is looking at livelihoods and economic recovery. And we have 8 agencies that are all going to pull in behind this. They're funded through a single fund, which will help them pull together and deliver on those 3 main areas in support of peacebuilding objectives.
Within these 3 main areas, many underlying drivers of conflict need to be addressed in northern Uganda, such as economic opportunities for youth, land disputes, and access to justice. Although none of these in themselves represent a prominent driver for a return to conflict, they represent a set of factors that could accelerate conflict if left unaddressed.
So therefore, the risk is that a conflict comes back, and therefore we need to look at what are the conflict drivers and how can we address them.
So, let's have a look at how the UN is addressing them to strengthen economic and social recovery to build lasting peace in northern Uganda. Justice systems were non-functional at the end of the conflict. This is now changing.
2 decades of war has a toll into the systems, justice systems, peace and reconciliation systems. So the UN, like I said, it has a program to support the northern Uganda in particular and Uganda in general, to develop the justice, whether informal or formal justice systems, to be able to support recovery and development of the communities that they are returning to their families, to their villages of origin, to be able to contribute to the wider development for Uganda.
As the war ended and people returned home from the camps, one of the greatest challenges facing the UN in relation to justice was the issue of land.
What the UN is doing is basically to work with national as well as international NGOs to address a series of land-related problems in the district and in northern Uganda as a whole. As you will know, as people move back from camp settings, they have a lot of issues associated with land, because in northern Uganda, land is a source of livelihood, land is used for agriculture, land is used for housing, etc.
Meaningful involvement and participation of marginalized groups such as women in the peacebuilding process is a prerequisite for democracy and sustainable development. Therefore, in addition to providing access to justice, this program aims to strengthen protection systems and improve access to stronger response services to gender-based violence.
So we're trying to bring together all the actors, all the UN partners, that as they're working with communities, they're helping, first of all, to design their programs so that they are mitigating any conflict within the household and the community, but also so that they're aware of how to respond to this problem that unfortunately is so common right now.
Broad economic recovery and diversified livelihoods are key to self-sustaining peace. Reducing economic disparity, increasing market access, and income generation are essential. The UN, through the Peacebuilding Fund, is now working to maximize on the recent good harvests and is training farmers in pre- and post-harvest skills.
So before the conflict, Gulu used to be a breadbasket not only for Acholi region but for the whole of Uganda. So we're hoping through Purchase for Progress and to the Peacebuilding Fund to be able to stimulate the restarting of economic activities and especially the reshaping of a functioning agricultural market.
The UN is also supporting vulnerable ex-combatants, youth and female-headed IDP and returnee households to build their skills and participate in productive employment, thereby reducing the risk of recurring conflict.
So the contribution is they're getting their livelihood, and that will ensure that they don't go on the streets, they don't resort to maybe conflict, criminal-related interventions, and that is peace, that is support to peace building.
In today's post-conflict environment, the social and economic outlook for Uganda is positive, and through the Peacebuilding Fund, the UN is playing its part in this transformation.
Peace has returned in northern Uganda, and we have now to capitalize on the peace dividends.